Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 111 of Let's Go Racing with David Starr. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. Coming up on today's show, we will look back at the weekend that was at Darlington with William Byron picking up his third win of 2023. Also, the latest scuffle involving Ross Chastian. And we have reaction from Rick Hendrick as well as Justin Marks. We'll discuss all of that coming up in a matter of moments. We'll also look ahead to the All-Star race this weekend as NASCAR returns to North Wilkesboro. We'll tell you what you need to know about that race and more coming up. We'll also have our news and notes as well as our Ask David segment coming up at the end of the show. Dave Starr is here with us after a couple weeks off, but back after it this week. David, lots going on since we last talked to you between not only on track with the events that have unfolded the last couple of weeks, but for you've been in Vegas and a couple other places, a couple of racing schools in between, but glad to have you back. How we doing, David?
Man, just glad to be back, man. It's been a couple of weeks off. We've been, you guys have been busy. I've been busy, and we just haven't had a chance with our traveling schedule and everything. It's good to see you guys and be back on our podcast, man. And I tell you what, the racing world, man, the NASCAR racing has been some good stuff last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it has. Dominic Olagun from the RacingExperts.com joins us as well. Dom, good to be back as always. And I'm wondering where we even start with this. I guess with William Byron, but the juicy stuff today is going to be on Ross.
Oh, always. Even Fox has their little segment, Ross messing up this week, or what's Ross Chastain going to do this week? Kind of like the Come On Man segments with Monday Night Football. You know it's going to happen. What's Ross going to do this week? And since the last time we were on the show, so much has happened with Ross, from on-track scuffles to pit road scuffles to more on-track scuffles at Darlington.
Yeah. Let's start with William Byron. Gets the win, his third win of 2023. Hendrick continues to look fast. William Byron looking like he's having a career year. David, I said a couple weeks ago that I felt like he was the championship favorite, that 24 team had something figured out. They weren't maybe the best car Sunday, but they were around when it mattered most. And sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good. Credit to William and Byron and company for being in position there when it mattered there at the end of the race.
We wasn't surprised, anytime you come towards the end of these cup races, that 24 car is right there, and Hendrick Motorsports has just been so strong since the start of the season. And, wasn't surprising to see the 24 car William Byron up there and all the Hendricks drivers, I think right there at the end when they had that, I don't know if it was 5 or 6 laps to go, what it was, but you had Kyle Larson, you had William Byron, and then you had Chase Elliott. They were right there, you know what I mean? So you knew, looked like one of the Hendrick guys was going to be in the victory lane, and it could have been a top 3 sweep, but William Byron is definitely, I think it's been kind of like you said, Tyler, a breakout year for him. We knew when the season started in Daytona that Hendrick would be strong from the start. We just didn't realize the leader of that Hendrick organization was going to be William Byron. I wouldn't have thought that, but man, the guy has done a phenomenal job, and the whole organization has.
Well, and the thing that I look at in particular, Dominic, that we've been able to say about William Byron in 2023 compared to previous seasons is that he's a threat any given week. Every time he takes the track, if you give him a car capable, he could win. For a while it was just certain types of tracks, the 1.5-mile programs, but the restrictor plates, the short tracks, even the road courses. William Byron has become a very good all-around driver. That didn't happen overnight, but here he is now. He's arrived.
Well, he's so well-rounded, and like you said, he's been able to compete at these different tracks, from the short tracks, the Bristol Dirt Race, and the road course at COTA, to leading the most laps at Las Vegas, to winning the pole at Kansas. Guys, I saw this stat, and I can't take credit for it. Dustin Albino from JSQ was the one that pointed this out. William Byron earned his 10th pole of his NASCAR Cup career at Kansas a couple of weeks ago. But what was more impressive about that, David, he's done it on 10 different kinds of racetracks.
Yeah, that's definitely impressive. It just, every Cup driver that races in a Cup Series is just you got 40 of the best race car drivers in the world. And we speak about William Byron having 10 different poles at 10 different types of racetracks, and then to see his consistency up front week in and week out, we're not really surprised by that. The guy is just a phenomenal race car driver. And, to have an organization like Hendrick Motorsports and all the resources and technology engineering from GM, and just, and you plug in a great driver like William Byron, and then, Jeff Gordon stepping in there and taking a big, I don't know. I just look at Jeff, and kind of what Tyler has been talking about since the year started, that, how William Byron's really having a breakout year. I think just his experience and what he's learned, and I'm sure working with his teammates, and I think Jeff Gordon's really had a lot to do with William Byron's success here lately. You knew it was. I kind of thought it was just a matter of time. But man, not surprised by just how talented he is, and all the drivers there at Hendrick Motorsports. All of them are just so talented.
Yeah, they certainly are. And you look at the NASCAR point standings right now, the playoff picture. William Byron has the most playoff points, and he obviously has the most wins at 3 wins and 16 playoff points. Kyle Larson with 2 wins and 12 playoff points. Kyle Busch with 2 wins and 10 playoff points. Then you have Hamlin, Reddick, and Logano, each with 1 win and 7 playoff points. Truex with 1 win and 6 playoff points. Bell with 1 win, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with 1 win and 5 playoff points. Those are kind of the playoff picture as it stands right now, as far as guys locked up at this point. 9 different winners at this time of the year. If I were to say right now, Dom, as we continue to toot the horn that is William Byron and this breakout season that he's having here, if you ask me who the top 5 drivers were in the sport right now at this moment, I don't know how you couldn't include William Byron. I think he's taken that much of a step in the right direction, and it's not even just the wins he's had, but consistently running up front, staying out of trouble, not causing wrecks, not getting into wrecks. Shout out Ross Chastain. William Byron, I'm not trying to sound like Grandpa get off my lawn here, but he's doing it the right way.
Oh, he sure is. And up front every week. And I think David said we knew Hendrick was going to be good at the beginning of the year. Did we all think did we really have William Byron on our bingo card saying that he would be the best Hendrick car this year? Probably not. Because last year he did have a good start too, where he won Atlanta. He won Martinsville, and it seemed like he fizzled out. And I know he was in the round of 8, had a chance to make the championship 4. But Tyler, it is a different William Byron this year. And I think important to note too, for all the NASCAR fans following the sport, that number 24 is very special. And for a long time, that 24 car was like the lovable loser car in NASCAR from 1950 to 1993. That car had never won in the Cup Series, and now it's won 100 times. 7 times with William Byron, 93 with Jeff Gordon. Guys, I think when it's all said and done, William Byron's going to rack up many more wins in that 24 car. He's just getting started.
How about that, David? 7 career wins already for William Byron and 100 for that 24 car. We saw what Jeff Gordon did in the 24. Chase Elliott started his career in the 24, didn't get to victory lane, but did get off to a good start to his career. And then now what William Byron's done, you can't tell the story of NASCAR without that yellow 24.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We know Jeff Gordon put that 24 on the map, man. He just a phenomenal job, and what Jeff did for our sport, and just unbelievable. And to see William Byron getting a 24 car and coming to his own, and just sitting here listening to y'all speak, talking about William Byron, I think he's really he's perfected his craft. You know what I mean? He knows how to win. He knows how to race. He knows when to race. And when you get that momentum on your side, and you're hitting on all 8 cylinders, you and your engineer and your crew chief and your whole organization, man, it's just cool to see him. And he won the race Sunday. He didn't have the fastest race car. You know what I mean? He wasn't a dominant car, but you put yourself up there week in and week out. He's the most consistent driver with the most speed week in and week out. He just really knows how to, man, all I can say, he knows how to put himself in a position to win. He knows how to race. You know what I mean? And when I say know how to race, it's, some drivers over the years have really fast race cars, great equipment, great team behind them, and sometimes they just don't really understand and know how to win. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. They can race hard, but when it comes down to getting the W and getting it done, they can't do it. You know what I mean? And William Byron has definitely proved that he knows how to get it done, and he knows what he's doing these days.
Yeah, for sure. Big time win there for William Byron on that front. Now the moment you all been waiting for. Ross Chastain. Got into it there with Denny Hamlin. Knocked both of them out there at the end of the race as both of them were going towards the win. And just let's start out with that incident and then kind of go piece by piece with reaction from Rick Hendrick and Justin Marks and Denny Hamlin and others. But just the incident that occurred on the racetrack. David, I'll start with you. I understand being aggressive, going for the win and everything, but I mean, at the end of the day, we saw Ross there racing a little bit too hard. It cost both of them a chance there of him overdriving, of him being too aggressive. It wasn't just that he took Denny Hamlin out; he cost himself there.
Yeah, are you talking about Darlington?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, Ross is exciting to watch. He's really brought a lot of new eyes to the sport and kind of gave our sport, some new excitement. You know what I mean? Ross is a great race car driver. Lots and lots of talent. There's one thing to be aggressive and to be super aggressive at the end. We know how it is for us racers that race at Darlington. Usually when you get super aggressive, it's a challenge there at Darlington because you run out of room. Just the way the racetrack is built and how much real estate you got to work with. Usually when you're super aggressive, it's usually you're going to take yourself out, or you're going to hit the wall, or, you're going to take somebody else out with you. So maybe Ross got super aggressive at the end. It's hard to, I would have probably done the same thing. I mean, you're going for a win. It's really, it's a challenge, on one way of it, man. It's just, that when you get Rick Hendrick's attention and Jeff Gordon's attention, and they're speaking about it publicly, and, it's just been Ross Chastain this, Ross Chastain that. It's got a lot of people talking, and, and I guess not always, it's not all the talk is very good, but, I guess the one thing about it, he brings a lot of excitement, and he's pissed off a lot of drivers, and it's kind of interesting to see it all play out right in front of us, because Trackhouse has given him really fast race cars week in and week out. And, it looks like to me, Ross Chastain had a shot at winning the race or not winning the race, running second, and, it's kind of interesting to see Justin Marks as a team owner. Sometimes you got to sit back. It's like, hey, man, we want you to win, but, if you can't win, then we're okay taking second or third. It's a good day. you don't know how those team meetings or how those conversations will be because, not only did he take a win away from a competitor, a manufacturer, teammate, really, Kyle Larson, he took himself out. You know what I mean? So, you like the enthusiasm, you like the drive and that, it's record or checkers, you know what I mean? But I guess, now it's getting to the point where, maybe the owners are going to have to step in and say, hey, man, we're okay with second or third. You know what I mean? If you can make that happen, and I think we all knew when we saw that last restart that it probably wasn't going to end well,
So given what's happened the last few weeks, David, give us that driver team owner insight. So we know a lot of competition meetings for teams, they debrief after a race on Monday, go over things. What likely is Justin Marks and Ross Chastain's interactions during those meetings? What is Justin telling Ross behind closed doors?
Because we've already heard Justin say it has gone too far, that there needs to be course correction, that they need to work with Ross to reel him in a little bit. He's saying that publicly. What's he saying behind the scenes even further, you think?
Well, he likes having a driver that's, he's got one thing on his mind is to win at all costs. You know what I mean? And that's why Ross is driving for Trackhouse. You got that drive, you got the guy that's got that speed, that desire. Only thing he knows is to win. But you got to look at the business side of it, the sponsor side of it, the industry, your manufacturer teammates. And, I think Rick Hendrick put it best, it's going to be hard to win championships when you got all these people that are not, I guess when you get all these people that you've knocked out of the way or wrecked or however, it's going to be hard to win championships when you got that many people against you. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm sure they're having some talks about, and been racing at Darlington for a long time, those restarts, what your car is going to do. You kind of have an idea of what your car is going to do. You're going to run in there, hit the apron somewhat wide open. Your car is going to push big time, and Ross knew he was going to push up against Ross Chastain. It's just, we know that, because we've raced there so much, but hey, eight tires is better than 4, you know what I mean? But, I think he got such a big jump and pushed up, and got a little bit of more of a lead than he wanted, pushed up against him, ended up taking himself out. Now, not only did he take out Kyle Larson, took out himself, but you got to start looking at the business side of it, and I don't know. It's a lot to analyze there. You know what I mean? But it's instead of finishing again top 5, whether that's second, third, fourth. You got a wrecked race car, and you got I don't know where he ultimately ended up finishing. He didn't finish, and then he's taken out, another manufacturer teammate. It's just it's a lot of not positive, a lot of negativity from the whole industry against you. You know what I mean? So I think Justin Marks is stepping in, like you guys are saying, and probably encourage his driver. It's like, hey man, it's okay to get second or third. We want you to win, but if you can't, we're okay with second or third.
Well, and Dominic, I was thinking about this too. Of this situation, we've seen how much this has escalated over the last year and a half, right? From what Denny Hamlin has said publicly, and even Denny kind of retaliating of some sorts, with the with the penalty we know he got. And then we've obviously had the fight with Noah Gragson a couple weeks ago. And I don't know, for me, maybe I'm wrong on this, Tom, but something felt different when you heard Rick Hendrick, of all people, come out and say something. we don't hear Rick talk that often, and usually it's always in a positive manner about his race team and his family. But when you got Rick Hendrick, who, is the face of Chevy racing and NASCAR, he and Jeff Gordon, when he is saying something about that, to me, that kind of hits different. And then Justin Marks finally stepping up and saying, yeah, we got to adjust some things with our driver and everything. I think that right there, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that Rick Hendrick actually saying something and speaking up, that moves the needle something here.
Oh, I think so too. And to take that further, Justin Marks saying what he said about how, yeah, this is a little concerning. Because let's be honest, Justin, you're gonna defend your driver. You're the team owner, not just Justin Marks, but anybody. You're gonna go to bat and praise your driver and try to stick up for him as much as you can. But when you keep having run-ins, you keep making mistakes, you keep doing what you're doing, there's only so much your boss can do to publicly defend you. And I feel like, Tyler, maybe Justin isn't hitting that panic button just yet or pushing it, but maybe he's hovering his hand a little bit around it with Ross Chastain. He's got to hone it in a little bit. But I will say this, though. Friend of the show, they're at the Darlington Raceway this weekend, as many of the NASCAR greatest 75 drivers were there. Jeff Bodine was asked, what do you think about Ross racing? And classic Jeff Bodine fashion, he said drivers should get over it. They didn't race against Earnhardt.
Yeah. David, along those same lines there, you're kind of Bodine saying that, we've seen the Earnhardt comparisons and everything like that, that's come under the sun the last couple of weeks. What do you think happens first? Does Ross kind of reel it in, or do you think he's going to continue to drive this way? What is the end game for Ross Chastain here?
Well, there's lots and lots and lots of talent there, and lots, and again, your team owner, backing you up week in and week out, and it gets to the point where it's kind of hard to back your driver like you need to back him when it's just so consistent. Happens often. I think I was saying this earlier about William Byron. He's really come into his own, and he's really figured out how to win, and he's got a fast car. He'll rub door, he's door handle. He'll beat and bang with you. He's hardcore racer, but he gets the job done, and I think Ross is, I think Ross is going to have to maybe pull back just a little bit. He's right there. Obviously lots of talent, but I think he's going to have to figure out how to race, how to win. You know what I mean? We're watching William Byron doing it, and we see Kyle Larson winning a lot, and they'll race hard with each other, beat and bang, but they're not taking each other out. You know what I mean? So I think that Ross is going to, I think he's going to really, with all this negativity, coming at him, I think he's going to have to really focus on trying to get it right and trying to learn how to do it the right way. You know what I mean? Because, man, the speed is there, the talent's there, the desire is there, the team's there. That Trackhouse and Ross Chastain can win races. I just think he needs to maybe slow down a little bit, and I think they'll get it figured out. You know what I'm saying? But it's always easier to kind of reel somebody in a little bit, and then instead of trying to get them to be aggressive. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. But I think Ross Chastain's really been great for the sport. It's awesome. I mean, it's just all the excitement and all the things and shenanigans that are happening after races, and and what we saw at the end of the races, taking out Kyle Larson and taking himself out. I mean, it's just man, I've had more people talking about Ross Chastain and about NASCAR the last couple of weeks than it's been since in a while. You know what I mean? So it's really his that win at no cost is really bringing a lot of attention to the sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is for sure. This weekend, NASCAR, the All-Star race, heads to North Wilkesboro for the first time in 2 decades, as NASCAR has moved the All-Star race the last few years. We saw it, in Bristol, Texas, and now making its way to North Wilkesboro. And just what a job, Dominic, to make this event happen. When they got the money to redo North Wilkesboro and make it active, the hope was, to get like some sprint cars or some cars tour racing or stuff like that, maybe a truck race. Nobody a year ago at this time imagined that the Cup race, let alone the Cup Series, let alone the All-Star race, would be making its way to North Wilkesboro. But after a big push from SMI and Fox Sports to make this all happen, this is going to be a one-of-a-kind event on the original racing surface.
Oh, big time. I think personally, Tyler, I think you and I might be a little sad it's not happening at Texas Motor Speedway for a third straight year. But when you look at the great picture of it in the grand scheme of things, to have North Wilkesboro back on the schedule 27 years after the last Cup Series race, I think we would have thought Rockingham would have made it back on the schedule before North Wilkesboro. Just seemed like a pipe dream, just seemed like something that just was not going to happen. And you think of the history of North Wilkesboro and being on the Cup schedule for decades and all the historical moments that have happened there. I think of Dale Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd going toe-to-toe and wrecking each other on the last lap, to Jeff Bodine lapping the field, to Jeff Gordon winning the final race there in 96. So many good memories at that racetrack, and there's going to be plenty made more this weekend.
David, North Wilkesboro, I know you've seen plenty of races at that place over the years. How big is this for NASCAR and the Cup Series to be making its return after 27 years?
Man, it's really cool. It was always, I've never raced there, but over the 25 years that I've been a NASCAR driver, I always would drive by there on the way to Bristol. I've always drove by North Wilkesboro just to see the track, a lot of history there. And I was always sad that I never got a chance to race there, because it was, somewhat like a short track, but man, a lot of credit goes to, Marcus Smith and the Smith family. And also a lot of credit goes to Dale Earnhardt Jr. I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. really, with the Lost Speedways episodes and I remember they were mapping, I don't know, y'all might know a little bit more about this. They went and cleaned the place up a couple of years ago to put it on a iRacing deal. There was always a big push to try to get North Wilkesboro back on the circuit, or get racing back there. And I think Dale Jr. had a lot to do with it. And then we look back to a year ago, and I don't know when this race was. It might have been a late model cars race or a cars series super late model race. But Dale Jr. ran in that race last year. And they said that place was packed. It was over the top. The excitement, the enthusiasm from that late model race. And I think it wasn't too much longer after that, NASCAR and I don't know if it was NASCAR or Marcus Smith. They had come out that they would move the All-Star race to North Wilkesboro. And man, I just know the enthusiasm of all the fans. There's so much excitement to see that place be revised as a NASCAR track and to bring the All-Star race there. And, and on social media, I've seen a lot of the improvements they've done to that place. And, man, the excitement and the enthusiasm for the All-Star race coming up this weekend is over the top. You know what I mean? So, I'm excited to see the All-Star race there, and I'm excited to see them. Like Tyler, like you said earlier, the racing surface is the original racing surface, and man, it's wore out. Kind of reminds me of of Darlington, where you get 2 or 3 laps on a set of tires and they're wore out, and I think it's going to be a great race, and what a cool place to see the All-Star race happen at for its kind of its again inaugural race there after 20 something years.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible for sure. And Dom, what I find interesting too, with whether it's SMI or NASCAR, both with their approach here, the way that we're seeing things change when it comes to this schedule and events is more so of this made for TV approach. I'll be honest, North Wilkesboro doesn't have a whole lot of seats. In reality, there's not going to be a whole lot of people there. But there's going to be, hopefully, a ton of people watching on TV where, the audience, it's made for the TV audience at home. You look at the Clash at the Coliseum, same type of thing, where that isn't necessarily made for the people that are there, but for the people watching at home to say, wow, NASCAR is racing at the Coliseum. To me, that's a different approach. And if you're trying to win with TV ratings and go about it that way, I mean, that's a approach that's different than what we've seen from NASCAR. And we've seen other sports. You look at the USFL, the XFL, those type of sports leagues are made for TV events. I mean, heck, even football games at home now with the Red Zone channel and the Sunday Ticket. I mean, most people rather watch football games on their couch than even go to the football stadium anymore. And I think you're seeing that approach here with what NASCAR's done with this All-Star event and other events, is that made for TV approach, not necessarily for those that are there.
Oh, absolutely. You don't have to fight traffic. You can watch from the comfort of your home. I'm sure a lot of fans here watch football, and you're very well aware of the TV timeouts, the 90-second to 120-second timeouts that TV gets to have their commercials, and racing's no different. And I believe with North Wilkesboro, Tyler, fans had to put in for tickets. It wasn't a guarantee, and it was like a lottery system to be picked who was going to get tickets, how much they were going to cost. And I know they were going to be an arm and a leg for this weekend, but you even look at them bringing back the pit crew challenge from the mid-2000s, early 2010s. That's certainly a made-for-TV event where the teams face off and determine starting lineups. For the All-Star heat races, you have heat races to determine the starting lineups, kind of like the duels in Daytona, very similar format there. And then the All-Star Open being 100 laps. You have the All-Star race being 200 with breaks, certainly made for TV. I think it's going to be a great spectacle on TV, and fans are going to just, I think, feel nostalgic. But you're right, we're not going to necessarily have that many people there. SMI knows this. NASCAR knows this. It's made for television.
I mean, okay, I'm looking right now at one of these third-tier ticket, one of these, resale ticket sites right now, David. If you don't want a general admission seat, if you want a reserved seat, it's going to cost you to get in before all the fees and taxes and all that stuff, $137 just to get a seat in this place. Like we said, there's not going to be a whole lot of people there, but it is going to be a worthwhile event that the sport needed and needed something to kind of give some flavor to the All-Star race that's kind of been lacking the last few years.
Yeah, the All-Star race, it's yeah, it needed a little bit of flavor to it, but when you got these 40, I don't know what the starting lineup is going to be. I don't know if a 25 will make the race. I'm gonna ask the question: how many guys will run the All-Star race?
So we have 21 locked in, Tyler, and we have, I believe, 16 that are going to be trying with the Open. So definitely an increase from last year with all the first-time winners. We have a lot of people on that list. So there's going to be a lot of good drivers in the All-Star race. Also some good ones that are not locked in yet.
Yeah, absolutely. But, it's just going to be I think it's going to be a phenomenal race, and the All-Star race, when you're going for $1 million, it's exciting because, people are going to be getting Ross Chastain being pushed out of the way, wrecked, you know what I mean? And, it brings so much excitement to the television and to the people there watching, because it's for $1 million. Points don't matter. And to have it at a venue that we hadn't raced on in 26, 27 years is, man, and it's just really a lots of it's a lot going on there, and there's a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm, and and I didn't really ever thought of it like you guys were speaking about. It is made for television. I mean, it's going to be so, I can't wait to see what the ratings are, because, man, everybody's excited about. For the first time, I ain't heard this much enthusiasm, this much talk about the All-Star race since it almost really, first started. You know what I mean? It's there's a lot of build up to it, and and like you guys were saying, you hadn't had that over the years, and you have it now.
Yeah, I mean, literally, guys, there's only 25,000 seats at North Wilkesboro Speedway. That's not a bad thing. Not at all. You'll draw more people watching on TV, and you'll see that play out that way, and you'll have a full crowd, and it'll be a great atmosphere. So I'm looking forward to it. Looks like no Alex Bowman this week. Josh Berry will have to qualify his way in the 48 car. With that said, just kind of looking at this All-Star race, Dom, kind of hard to pick on a track we haven't seen in 27 years, but we can rely on who's kind of hot right now. The William Byrons, Kyle Larsons, Ross Chastains, Denny Hamlins of the world, I would think, are the ones to watch for here.
Sure, and I think Kevin Harvick, Daniel Suarez running the Cars Tour race earlier this week at North Wilkesboro ahead of the All-Star race. David, I got to think, any seat time there at that track. None of these guys raced there in 96 when the Cup Series was last there. I feel like some of those guys might have a slight edge. Maybe, right? I mean, if you're getting some sort of seat time and you're on the actual surface, feeling the bumps, getting a feel for the track, I got to feel like that's going to play its hand in helping you at some point during the weekend.
It definitely won't hurt. And there is a NASCAR Camping World Truck, NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race there. And I think that field is loaded up with some Cup guys as well. I want to say Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace.
Corey LaJoie, I believe, is running too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, I think it wouldn't hurt. And so, you see some of the guys running the Cars late model series, late model race there. And so, people trying to get get an advantage here and there, get some seat time on the track. Yeah, I mean, hey guys, it's $1 million. You know what I mean? That's what makes it exciting,
Wait, hold on a second. On that $1 million thing, everybody gets excited, Dom. I feel like I have this rant every year, but I'll reiterate. Everybody gets excited about the $1 million. All these guys are rich anyway. Like, I don't get the thrill out of seeing millionaires even add on more money. I will say, though, with inflation, how's this thing still $1 million? They should be winning $2 million.
You're right. Well, so was it 94 or 93, David? The first year they really did the $1 million at Charlotte, and that was 30 years ago. So Tyler, you are correct. I punched this in on the inflation calculator. I don't know if you could see it there, but it has doubled since 94. So it should be $1 million in 1994 would have the equivalent of about $2,050,000 in today's dollars.
Okay. There you go, man. Nobody's talking about much about the inflation and all that kind of stuff. Y'all bring up a good, you got a good strong case there, for to raise the purse up. But that being said, it'd be kind of cool if the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series and Xfinity Series that we all had all-star races where we could all go for $1 million. I think it'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Some type of exhibition event would be great to see. So, official picks for this week. I'll I'll keep going with who's hot. I'll go with William Byron to get it done here at North Wilkesboro. I believe, Dom, this is going to test my memory here. I believe that he won the NASCAR Pro Invitational Series iRace that they did at North Wilkesboro during the pandemic there.
Oh, you put me on the spot and I don't have the answer. David, you know, right? Who won the Pro Invitational race?
That's a joke, man. I wouldn't have a clue. That's awesome.
So he's got somewhat of experience there. I'll go with William Byron. How about you, Dom?
Well, I think you would want to think experience has something to do with it and pressure and situations. And it feels like, I don't know, as of recent, this man has really just risen up to the occasion when it comes to pressured situations or new events. He won the Clash last year in its first race. He won the race at Gateway. He won the championship. Joey Logano is going to get it done in the All-Star race. David, I think we know who you might be going with, but I never.
Man, I don't. I'm just going to say Kyle Busch. Them guys have been really strong, and it's just the type of track. I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing somebody out there that's capable of winning the All-Star race. There's so many, you know what I mean? I'm just going to throw Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch gets it done.
Yeah, I think too, like your friend there, Kevin Harvick in the 29. That's going to be really cool to see that 29 car hit the track one more time. Ryan Newman running the Open. Tyler, the only one we're missing is Jimmy Johnson in the 84 car.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool if that could happen of some sorts, but it's not. I would say, we see Harvick running the 29. We saw the throwback schemes and all that. I'd really like to see some of these old school sponsors come back. Like, what if he was in the 29 Goodwrench car this weekend? That would have been really cool.
Well, that won't happen because of the Ford and Chevrolet thing.
Oh,
but
that's
I can see what you're saying.
That's a fair point. Yeah. With that said, we'll move on to our news and notes segment. Dominic, what's going on this week?
Well, let's recap a little bit. It certainly was a special weekend in Darlington, and NASCAR honoring and officially adding 25 drivers to their original NASCAR 50 greatest list. And Tyler, David, I believe 31 drivers were there to be honored, past and present. And some of the ones that were not there include Harry Gant, Kelly Arborough, Rex White. I believe Mark Martin wasn't there, but a majority of the drivers still alive, and the ones that got named to the list were honored with a bunch of festivities and posing for photos and shaking hands, doing autographs. Such a cool way to do it with having the list updated 25 years later, coinciding with Throwback Weekend. What a really, really cool event. Guys, I wish we were bringing some of these guys back to the track more often, not just for these special commemorative events, but bringing drivers on a rotation somehow, some way, thanking the drivers of yesteryear that helped build up the sport. I wish we had more of this.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought it was really cool to see. I didn't know how many were there. But before the race started, when they introduced them, it was cool to see Casey Kane, Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson. I mean, it was just Richard Petty, and it was just really cool to see them all on the stage before the race. I just thought that was really cool, and what a great racetrack to do it at. The one that the most historic first NASCAR racetrack. I don't know. I just thought it was really unique and really cool and very special. It was, and I think you said there were 31 drivers out of the 75. But man, that would have been cool to be there and to see them all and shake their hands. It would have been pretty neat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and one thing that I really liked, guys, was Carl Edwards being in the booth for stage 2, and he was fantastic calling the race. But then hearing him say that he wants to get in the simulator and try out this next-gen car and didn't rule out the possibility of return. Good to see Carl around and talking. David, I know you love Carl, and I mean, he's what, 43 years old? I mean, he's had plenty of time off. the last several years here. If Carl wants to make a comeback, he didn't forget how to drive. I think he could be just as good as he was before, and have a whole second era to his career potential if he wants to make a comeback.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You put him in a good competitive car, and Carl Edwards would win right away. He didn't forget how to race. It was cool to see him finally come back to the racetrack. I think that was good for him. And I think we don't see Carl Edwards much because, as a racer, it's hard to go to the racetrack and not race. And if you're there, if you're there and you're not racing, that's not a great feeling. You know what I mean? And I know Carl probably was there in the booth watching the race, but probably couldn't stand it one bit, and he knew it was going to be that way. And I think it's great. I'd love to see Carl back in competition. I was always surprised that he retired when he retired because he's such a racer. He was somebody I see that would race. He kind of reminded me like a Red Farmer would race until he's 90-something years old because he loved it that much, So I was really surprised when Carl made that announcement and when he did retire. But I would definitely love to see him get back in a next gen NASCAR Cup car, and I think you would see some backflips happening after he does that.
Well, and Dom, I'd put it this way with Carl. I feel like he's got some unfinished business. Came super close to winning a championship, but never got it done. Never won the Daytona 500. He's been close in the Hall of Fame, but hasn't gotten in. Maybe he's not a Hall of Famer right now. With that said, we've also heard him say in the past that if he made a return, that he would like to do it with Joe Gibbs Racing and with Martin Truex's future and Denny Hamlin's future in question. There might be some seats potentially open at Joe Gibbs Racing here in the future. I think that I'd be willing to guess that greater than 50% that we haven't seen the last of Carl Edwards.
I think that's fair in saying that too. And I was thinking as you were talking about this, some of these guys, like who has had a long time out and then came back and did really well. I think Mark Martin, he was out of the Cup Series 6 years before he signed with Jack Roush. Now, granted, he was in his 20s, so a lot younger than Carl Edwards, but like Ricky Rudd taking a year out and then coming back. But when he came back with the 88 team and Robert Yates in 07, wasn't the best equipment. We haven't really seen this fair opportunity happen. Matt Kenseth coming back after, 2-3 years?
Like even Ryan Newman was the best that we've ever seen the 51 car last week.
Absolutely. Out-qualifying in a Rick Ware Racing prepped car, the fastest it had ever been to the pole. You put Carl Edwards in good equipment, man, it's hard to argue that there's no way he's not going to be fast.
David, with knowing what we know and just hearing what Carl said, I would put it this way. I think Carl's phone is probably getting a lot of phone calls, probably ringing quite a bit here over the last couple of days.
Yeah, I'll just say he'll be back.
Okay.
Don't know when, but he'll be back.
Okay, so David knows something. All right.
I'm just saying it.
We got NASCAR insider David Starr with the scoop. Edwards coming back. Put it in the paper. Put it in the headlines. There you have it. It's going to happen. I love to hear that. Dominic, what else going on?
Well, maybe David can give us some insight on this, or maybe he's got an inside scoop on this next story. There's some meat and potatoes here as well. The Associated Press is reporting that NASCAR and team owners are still negotiating over charters and what to do in the next era of how that's going to look. The current charter agreement, which started in 2016 and expires in 2024, guarantees that 36 teams are ensured a spot in all points awarding races and all exhibition races and guaranteed purse money, and kind of like the winner circle program from the 90s. You win races, you run up front, finish up front, have higher points standing finishes. That guarantees you more money that and for the following season. But talks are breaking down. Team owners are stressing, all of them sent an open letter to NASCAR. Look, we want this to be permanent, not just a renewal. We want to make sure our investments are protected. Guys, Denny Hamlin for the Associated Press has said he's already spent $20 million just his own money to keep this thing going, and he wants to see some sort of return on investment. David, you look at this negotiation and how it's set to expire at the end of 2024. Where does NASCAR stand? Where do the team owners stand? And not only that, but the drivers, the pit crew members, the people that work the day-to-day office. This affects a lot of people.
Yeah, it really does. And I really believe that NASCAR and the team owners will come to an agreement, because without your team owners, you don't really, there is no sport. Your product are your race car drivers, your racing teams, and like Denny Hamlin's saying, he spent $20 million of his own money keeping his team going. The business model, we know it needs adjusted. There needs to be some changes there. I don't know all the business side of it from a cup standpoint, but it sounds like to me that that NASCAR will do the right things, and these teams, these race cars, crew members, engineering, all the technology. I mean, it's expensive to be a team owner, and if you're going to have a great sport with great races like we've seen over the years, you got to take care of your product, and that's the teams. And I think that they will get that done. I don't think it's an easy process, but I think when it's all said and done, I think they'll come into an agreement that really works good for everybody, and it's a win for everybody, because you can't have a great sport without teams. And I think NASCAR sees that. They're aware of that. And I have a hard time. I have a hard time believing moving forward that the today's business model probably won't work for the future. So I see some changes coming, and I think it'll be a win-win for everybody.
Well, Don, I would add to that too, is that I would think that a side of these negotiations of trying to work with all parties involved here, the fact that we're hearing that a summer package of some sorts, TV-wise, is likely to go to a streaming service like Amazon or Apple or something to that effect, that tells me that NASCAR is trying to find every single dollar they can, so that way the teams can get what they want, they can get what they want, and everyone's happy and okay here. That they're not just content with working with Fox and NBC. They're trying to find every penny they can. So I think that's kind of worth noting in the situation as far as I'm concerned, Don.
Absolutely. And Tyler, joking here that, Dave's got the inside scoop. I mean, we know that you're very well connected with the media industry. What are you hearing? What are sources telling you as far as we hear the streaming thing, Fox and NBC's exclusive window? What other networks could throw their name in the hat, or what other possibilities are we not hearing just yet?
I want to rule out ESPN, but ESPN's going through some mass layoffs right now, where they are eliminating a lot of positions and asking people to take pay cuts. And it's not just ESPN, it's all of Disney Corporation right now. They're expected to lay off over 1,000 employees, both in production and on air. So I don't know if they're necessarily going to want to spend on NASCAR when they're having to make the cuts that they're making. But with ESPN Plus continuing to grow, they're always looking for more opportunities they could potentially grow ESPN Plus. So I want to rule out ESPN, and I think they're going to kind of see how things go with SRX this summer to maybe get a gauge on motorsports. We've seen ESPN do a really good job with F1, but you think about the SRX deal and you think about the F1 deal, ESPN's not having to hash out a lot of money for either one of those either, compared to the money that NASCAR would command. So that's something to keep in mind there. But all signs point to, barring something, changing, like ESPN, the 11th Hour, or somebody else, that will probably see this TV contract be, Fox for the first half, NBC for the second half, kind of like what you see now, but then probably 3 races taken away from Fox and 3 taken away from NBC to carve out a piece in the summer. to go to a streaming service like Amazon or Apple, and Amazon seems to be the leading contender. And apparently NASCAR was really impressed with the success they had with Thursday Night Football this past year of the exclusive rights they had in NFL games there, that's what caught their eye to potentially do a deal with NASCAR for a summer package. So we'll see where that ultimately ends up. But nonetheless, it's interesting for sure. Guys, go ahead, Dom. Yeah.
No, I was going to say absolutely, and just kind of shades of the whole TNT Summer Series thing where they would have 6 races, but next generation, you take it to a streaming service.
Yeah, and Amazon too. You know, we look at Amazon; they're trying to sell. You know, everything they do with Thursday Night Football is a way to get more subscribers for Prime Video and you know, for Amazon Prime, and to sell products. And they're going to be doing a Black Friday football game this year as a way to get people to shop on Amazon on Black Friday. And so everything they do, you know, if they can make money and sell more and get more Prime subscribers, then they'll look into it. So NASCAR could be a good fit. Maybe we're seeing more people wearing some old school racing jackets or something they got off Prime or something, you know, as a result. So I need to give me one of those, by the way. I need like an old school. If somebody out there's listening and knows where I can get this, besides the obvious of Amazon, Dom, I need like an old school Jeff Gordon Rainbow Warrior jacket that I can wear out like to the clubs or something like that, you know, like something throwback.
Well, absolutely. Like, was it last year we were all in Las Vegas for the NASCAR race weekend, and my brother needed a jacket. He didn't go to the race, but he said, I'm going to go to the strip. Let me borrow your jacket. And it was that Exide 1990s Jeff Bodine 1994 throwback. He said he had never gotten so many compliments in his life on such a nice retro-looking jacket. He's got a lot of nice clothes, but he said, yeah, I got so many compliments on it. And I got to say the same thing there, Tyler. I wear that jacket, and people are like, hey, that's pretty cool. Like it's back in style because it's got the black, it's got a checkered flag on one side, and then it's pink and blue and black, and it's got the car on the back. It's a pretty cool looking jacket.
Yeah. I need one of those. Don't make me spend my money on Amazon, people. Help me out. If somebody, I'd rather support a small business if I can than go that route. But nonetheless, time for our Ask David segment. You can submit questions to us on Facebook and Twitter at Starr Podcast. Also by email, davidstarpodcast@gmail.com. First question in the inbox this week, David, is from Steve. Steve wants to know, will David buy Ross Chastain a drink for clocking Noah Gragson, since we know that's what David wanted to do?
You know that what took place there is good for the sport, and I was glad to see it. And you know, if I would have had the opportunity, I would have done the same thing Ross did, but probably would have been a little bit more involved in it. You know, so yeah, I didn't have that opportunity. I tried to create it, but it didn't come together like I wanted it to. But yeah, I'd buy both of them a drink because you know, I include, you know, both of them deserve a drink. It created good drama, good television. A lot of people were speaking about it, so I like it.
Oh man, Dominic, I love that answer I just heard.
Oh, me too. Steve, I know you're listening. You're a big fan of the show. You send in really good questions. You ask us some really fun ones. That was a good answer, David.
That was, I don't even know what to say. I'm just floored at that type of answer there. That was great. Next question in the inbox. This one's from Carol, and Carol wants to know, David, what is your favorite dessert?
Man, you know, we all of us, you know, we all know what our favorite dessert is. Mine is ice cream. You know, that's man, I love ice cream. You know, and Missy and Rich Fix from Reading, Pennsylvania. When I'm hanging out with Rich Fix and Maggie that works for me, that takes care of all my social media and all our racing stuff. she's constantly taking pictures of us because we're constantly pulling over somewhere, getting us some ice cream, man. But that's my go-to dessert. Restaurant, Dairy Queen, wherever. I love my ice cream. So that's mine. How about you guys, Tyler, Dominic? What's y'all's favorite dessert?
I'm an ice cream guy. I can, if I eat too much ice cream, I can pass out worse than Anna Nicole Smith. I got to be careful when I'm eating ice cream. And all forms of ice cream, whether it's with cake or by itself or in a milkshake, whatever it may be. There's no wrong way to eat ice cream, Dominic.
Ice cream's good, man. Ice cream with cake, pie, root beer, Dr. Pepper,
float,
bananas. Man, I love ice cream, but I'm going to be the weirdo. I'm going to pick, and I love cake. I love all that stuff. I love my sweet stuff. But you give me the option of cake or ice cream or any of that, or like the sweetest watermelon on the planet, I'm going to go with the watermelon every time. There's just something about watermelon as a great dessert. We were at the Texas All-Star race last year. We were hanging out with David and Tyler at the Chasco compound, and there's great dessert there. There was cheesecake. There was all these different assortments. I went and beeline straight for the watermelon because that thing was freshly cut and spilled up on watermelon.
Just don't put salt on the watermelon. Just keep it as is.
That ruins it, man. That ruins it.
Yeah. As a kid, I thought I didn't like watermelon because my parents put salt on it. And then once I had watermelon without salt, I'm like, okay, there it is.
This is what I've been missing this entire time. Now, if you ever put sugar on top of watermelon, I did that as a kid. That's very dangerous.
Yeah. That's a great question, though. I like that.
Yeah. Last question. This one's from Trevor. Trevor wants to know, David, what did you do for your mom and for your wife for Mother's Day?
Man, I just called my mom. She didn't come I thought she was coming to town because most of her kids live here, but they didn't end up coming. So I called her, told her how much I loved her, and just thanked her for just being an awesome mom as a kid. Just all through my life, she's still an awesome mom. Told her how much I loved her. We sent her some money to do whatever she wanted to do, and then for my wife, we got her some. Me and my boys got her some flowers, wrote her some really pretty, gave her some really sweet cards, and gave her some cash. And then we went and ate. We asked her what she wanted for dinner, and she said she wanted to go eat sushi. So we took her to a nice sushi restaurant Sunday night, and it was just a fun, relaxing day with me and my boys and my wife. And how about you guys, man? What did y'all do for your wives, for Dominic, for your wife and your moms? What'd y'all do?
We ended up spending Mother's Day here in Grants, and man, it was really cool. Earlier in the week, I'll show you guys this really cool thing. I got the cool idea of, and I can't say it was mine. I mean, most of my stuff's not original, but this one was a really good idea, and I had to steal it, of having our son, who's 6 months old, sign the Mother's Day card. So he ended up signing the Mother's Day card on behalf of everyone, and he got the Sharpie, and I guided him, and he actually did sign it right. Oh, I guess it's not going to show up there, but and it was presented to Felice, and she got choked up, and it got me choked up. That was pretty cool to see that. And we all went to breakfast. We went to mass, and we went as a family, and we went with my mom and dad and my mom's sister and her family, my grandparents. We all met, and we had a really, really nice breakfast at the Iron Skillet at Petra. I think you guys have those in Texas too. So really good food, and we just spent the day together, and we had some steaks and grilled out for dinner and got gift cards for all the moms in our families. And it was a good time. And Tyler, I know Mother's Day is very special for you too. I know you ended up going back home as well.
Yeah. I took my mom to dinner, just the two of us, Saturday night, and afterwards we went to the rodeo. I took my mom to the rodeo, cool. And she loved it and had a good time, and saw everything from the bull riding to the barrel racing to all that. I loved being at the rodeo. I'm an urban cowboy, you're never going to see me wearing hay, but I love to be wearing my cowboy boots and going to rodeo and stuff like that. So that was a good time. Then we just spent the day with the family and all that, and had some good steaks on a Sunday afternoon, grilled out. So it was a good time for sure. So certainly enjoyed Mother's Day and had a very good weekend. So guys,
you ever thought about what we would do without our mothers and our wives, man? We'd be lost, man. So
yeah.
Oh, David,
man.
I'm 29 and I still need my mom. I still need my grandma. I need all these women in my life, and very thankful and appreciative for all the time we get with them.
Absolutely.
Guys, we got to wrap up. Before we do, looking ahead to this upcoming weekend, what's going on with everybody? Starting with you, Dom.
So, hey, if any listeners out here, I like Tyler said, urban cowboy, I'm going to attempt to be a real cowboy this weekend. My in-laws have some cattle. I'm going to be helping brand. So, Tyler, David, I don't know if you guys are
branding cattle.
I'm branding cattle this week, and I will let you guys know next week's show how that goes.
Dominic has lost it. Has lost his mind, man.
Oh, man, my father-in-law wanted our help last year. We were actually at the Texas All-Star race last year, so we couldn't help him last time. But he asked us. My brother's coming up to help. We're gonna make a little weekend of it up in Taos. So I'll report back. David, did you ever have any experience branding cattle? And if so, what
Dude, I gotta say, absolutely not, man. That's you know, I hope you get some video and some pictures of that. You know what I mean? That's way outside my comfort zone. You know, it'd be kind of cool to experience with somebody who knew what they were doing. But that's pretty cool, dude. I'm intrigued by it and can't wait to hear how it all goes down. And that's pretty cool. Tyler, you gonna go over to New Mexico and help out?
I think I'm busy with about anything else.
Yeah, of all the things you thought you were going to hear this week, and I don't think that was at the top of your guys' list. I'll let you know how it goes. And listeners, I know you're out there. I'm sure some of you had experience. Let me know. What's the best advice you could give me for the first time helping out with it?
Branding cattle. Okay, that's a new one. Wasn't expecting.
Don't get hurt, man.
This weekend, on a kind of serious note, but I just want to shout out my uncle Jason. He passed away about a week and a half ago, and going to his funeral back home this weekend in Oklahoma. But guys, I just want to tell you real quick about him. Uncle Jason was a huge NASCAR fan. He followed all the stuff we were doing with this show. And his favorite driver was David Rudiman. That's how you know he was a real NASCAR fan.
Yeah. He had a good one there, man. So wow.
So he loved David Rudiman, was a big Rudiman fan, loved that Aaron's Dream Machine car. And I know he's still watching races up from heaven, of course, but certainly going to celebrate his life and his memory this weekend, and good to be around family, of course, but just want to recognize him, and we certainly miss him and love him and everything, and so it should be a joyous time. He was also a big Oklahoma State University fan, big sports fan in general, and so they've asked everybody at the funeral this weekend to wear orange, the colors of Oklahoma State, to the funeral. So I'll do that and honor his legacy. So that should be a good time seeing everybody this weekend, and I'll be certainly might need to reach out to David Rudiman or something here about that. But very cool. David, what's going on with you?
Oh man, just we were such a busy weekend with racing schools, and got my cars back to my race shop and just fixing a little bit of this, fixing a little bit of that. Hopefully, looking excited to watch the All-Star race this weekend, and maybe get my youngest little boy. He'll get to go race his little sprint car this weekend, and we'll have some family time at the racetrack with my youngest, and so looking forward to that. And so yeah, that's what our weekend's going to look like.
Very good. Very good. Guys, fun show as always. Subscribe for new episodes out each and every week wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review, or don't leave us one at all. Hit us up on social media, facebook.com/Starr Podcast, Twitter @Starr Podcast, and also by email, davidstarrpodcast@gmail.com. For David Starr and Dominic Olagon, I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks so long. It's been another edition of Let's Go Racing. See you next week.